Welcome to Conversations with Spirit, where we dive deep into the mystical and enchanting realms of spirituality. I'm your host, spiritual medium Lauri, and together with special guests, we explore a world of spiritual insights and experiences, as well as offer captivating mediumship and oracle card readings. Tune in for enlightening conversations that will uplift your soul and expand your consciousness. Hey everybody, welcome to Conversations with Spirit. I'm so excited to be here tonight. But before we begin, I want to tell you that I do this show in conjunction with evolveme.com, which is an all things metaphysical and spiritual website whose mission is to facilitate and empower personal enlightenment to all that seek it. On the site, you will find mediums and healers and classes and workshops and retreats, all kinds of fun things to do. So check it out. I'd love for you to check it out. Tonight, my very special guest, yay, and this is the perfect subject for us, and this conversation is going to be so great. I have got the amazing Erin Gallagher back. So nice to see you. Thanks for coming.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited. I love hanging out with you and doing this show. Like, sometimes I'm like, can we just every month, for the rest of our lives do this? Because it's great.
Oh, for sure. I'm totally all about that, because you and I we think very similar.
Yes.
And I love that. And so it's kind of like we have these, I don't know, to me, we keep having these aha moments, and I just love that,
And the same kind of energies, the same kind of people we work with. And it's so great too, because this is something that just came to me that I feel like, especially on social media, it kind of causes and creates comparison, and so to come on and to hang out with each other and stuff without that is so nice. It's just, isn't it so nice?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because like I said, I think we like each other. We're having a sister romance, sistermance. I don't know what I was trying to find something, because they call them bromances.
Yeah, it's like
we're having a sistermance. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna make up my own words. As you guys know, I do that very well. I make up my own words all the time. But anyway, let me say hello to a couple people. We've got Bernadette and Peaceful and Bex. Hi, Bex. And Iran and Maria and Jay Perez. Supra. Melanie. Hi, Melanie. And Jazzy Ray. Nice to see all you guys here. I love that you guys are here tonight. So tonight, you guys, oh my gosh, this is a subject that I don't know about you, Erin, but I get a lot of questions surrounding this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think too, that even if people don't directly ask about it, the underlying question is about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And basically what this is, the name of the episode is Unlocking Your Life's Purpose, Discovering Your True Calling. Right? I mean, how perfect is that? So I want this episode, you guys, to be interactive. So feel like once we get into the questions and stuff, feel like you can ask questions about this, because this is a subject that is one for the ages. Don't you think?
It is. And there's so much around it, and so many different subtopics too.
Yes. Right. Okay. So here's the first question. What does purpose, quote unquote, mean to you? What does that mean?
Yeah, I love that. And I love that even that question suggests that it's different for everyone, and it really is. And the thing that I notice in doing the spirit work that I do is that everyone thinks of purpose as what we're doing. And how I see it is somewhat what we're doing, but I see it as who we be. Our purpose is our being, and who, what we feel and what we're being inside. Because let's face it, even if you're doing all of this stuff, if you're not in alignment and you don't feel it, it's not right. So I did this offering once where I had people put their pictures in my Facebook comments, and I looked at their picture and did here's what your purpose is,
Oh, cool.
It was really fun. And I also believe that there are multiple purposes. It's not just here's your one purpose for the rest of your life. I mean, there's a million things. Yes. But a lot of what came through was your purpose is to work at forgiving yourself. Your purpose is to support yourself through this. A lot of it was inner work or how we're meant to like heal. So for me, purpose is less about like doing. That's part of it, and implementation, but most purpose work is like how we be and feel. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Well, I feel pretty much the same way. I mean, what's been happening lately, because I am getting close to getting really, really close to the 6-0 word, we don't say that word.
I won't say that
word. I am 59, and I think to myself, how did I know? When did it become clear what my purpose was? And this is a really interesting story, and I'm going to take just a minute and explain it. When I was young, I was on the road. I was singing. I was a performer. And we went around to the veterans hospitals all throughout the United States, and we sang, right? And that created, I think that was when it clicked in my head that Erin says, "You look so much younger." Wow, thank you. Thank you. But anyway, it was like, I remember, because I was like 20, and I remember actually I started when I was 18. So I remember starting to think, oh my gosh, I really have an affinity towards the veterans. I mean, oh my God, because still, it's always ongoing. It's an ongoing thing where it's like, we need to honor them and all of that kind of stuff. And then I started thinking, about what was my life like before. And I remember, and maybe I wasn't doing it as much as an adult would, but I remember when I was young that like I would want to hang out with my grandparents and like help them, or talk to them about their past and all of that kind of stuff. And it's so interesting because now it's like I have that same purpose, quote unquote, but I'm doing it in a whole different way. Yeah. So it's kind of like there's an underlying, like exactly what you said. There's like an underlying thing, but I'm
like different forms or something, different forms.
Yeah. In different forms. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So what do you think about what I just said? Does that make sense? Or
it does. And it also makes me think of like that one thing leads to the next, to the next.
Yes.
So it can be a purpose that like it stair steps to the next thing and the next thing. When I got my very first Akashic reading to me, when I was like a baby newbie, like spiritual, like, oh, and I had all these questions, like tons of questions. I was like, right. And she was like, oh, this is kind of rare, but I see for you like a 3-part purpose. I was like, ooh, because it was all about like support and help other people, but then you have to kind of like kick them off the ledge so that they do part of the work themselves and all this stuff. And what I realized, and looking back based on what you said, was like I started out doing regular jobs, and then I became where I was doing what was the next? I went to film school, and then was in film and television, and then started doing this stuff. And so it was like I realized, so for example, I'm able to set up a mic and a camera and lighting and all this stuff. I mean, there's sunlight in my face every now and then, but I'm able to set up that stuff now because I worked in film and television for so long. Right. Mm-hmm. And now I'm working on my book. If I want to option my book for a television show, I know producers in Los Angeles. So it's like, these are the things you have to think about when you're like, why am I doing this? Or because it's always for a reason. It's always connected to your purpose, even if it isn't. Yeah. And what you said about that made me think of a coach that I used to work with that would say, I don't care about, like, don't give me like titles of who you are that don't make sense to most people. Like, make it be big and then tell people the little things underneath of what you do. So for example, she called it your door. What's your door? And so for me, like, healing was my door, or like health and wellness or something. Then underneath the door was Akashic Records, tarot, psychic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Ooh, so very interesting. Yeah. I love that. And you know what? It's so interesting too, because as we look back, it's like you have those aha moments of like, oh, right, I understand that had to happen because this had to happen because this had to happen. And now here I am,
Yeah. And in the moment though, it can be hard in the moment because you're just like, why? If something's happening that's like, I don't understand, because human beings, we are wired to understand why things are happening. And so if we can't, it's like, I think that's a big part of the life purpose journey or the spiritual journey is, how am I going to like regulate myself during the journey so I don't flip out and like let everything be the end of the world, or not even the end of the world, but like to where we're like riding emotional waves too much. Because if we do that, then we're not really, you know what I mean? Like doing it in a calm and grounded way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yes, we are going to be doing readings in a little while. We want to have this chat first. If anybody has any questions about how to figure out what your purpose is, bring it on, bring it on. Maria on my Instagram says, what feeds my soul? I think that's like a general question. I mean, because it's in a sense, it's the same for everybody. In a sense, it's not. Don't you think?
Yeah, it's like this. And this happens to me a lot in my work, is that my guides will very specifically show me if something is a message for this specific person or for the collective. Now, when I'm seeing stuff for the collective, meaning like all of humanity or everyone, it will apply to each individual because it's collective. But what's really interesting, and I'm sure you deal with this too, is that I'll get like a certain amount of clients, let's say in a 3-month span. And during those 3 months, I'll get like the same clients asking the same questions.
Oh,
and
yeah. Oh,
I'll
for
say,
sure.
like I'll say the same things to them over and over again. I'm like, I know I sound like a broken record, but if you could hear me like talk to all my clients, I'm saying the same things. And then the next 3 months is like a new set of things. And that's when I know like there's something bigger going on. And there's all these threads connecting us, because there are these messages, not just for you, but that come through for the collective.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And isn't that funny how it works like that? Yeah.
It is.
I love that. I love
I
that.
love it. I love it so much. And it's cool to be, for me, this is what I love about this work. It's cool for me to be a person that can support people getting clarity on that. Because people come to me like, what the hell? And I've done so much in it that I can connect not only to what is going on, but also to their specific guides, to why it's going on for them.
Right.
And so being able to have that clarity and also see ourselves in other people's journeys. Like,
yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah.
It's like we're walking each other home. We're walking the person home that was us 5 years ago. They're walking us home in a different way. We're co-creating as we go.
Mm-hmm. And that's what, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, but now you like touched on a whole big thing. That particular quote from Ram Dass like just rocks my world, because it means so many different things. You know, it means so many different things. And in terms of this, our sort of subject for tonight, like it's exactly what you said. We all are sort of walking each other home in that, trying to figure all this stuff out. Oh my God, I'm just like having that
I know that to me, there's that they're walking each other home. Then there's the Dolores Cannon stuff about like the waves of volunteers, how there's like different waves of light workers that are doing different things at different times. Yeah. And how I watched a TikTok about this the other day. It blew my mind about how like every 100 years, there's a whole new group of people. And he's like, the group of people that you're on the planet with are amazing. Those are your people, man. He's like, he was trying to say like, don't get mad. Like the people that are around you all the time, like pay attention to them, because those are the people that are here the 100 years you are. Like your soul chose to come here at this time for some sorts of reasons, a bunch of sorts of reasons, you know? So I just thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I have to say, Dominique from your Facebook says the connect the dot epiphanies are bonkers sometimes. Oh, do I totally agree with that?
So bonkers. And it's funny because I'm like, I went to click on that comment to be like, oh my God, yes. But whenever I do that, it opens the video and then we have two dueling audios. So I'm like,
oh no,
I know. I could be on my phone, but I want to be present here. But yeah, it's like, it is so bonkers. And it's like, really, this is why I say, and I've said this on this, you know, conversations with spirit before, is like, it's always the little things that we think aren't big. I always say the miracles are in the mundane, the little like tiny things.
Yeah.
And those like those divine breadcrumbs lead to all these other things. And it's just like these crazy threads that if you pay attention to those little things, they're actually not little. They're not little at all.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Ooh, I love this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so Iran says, and I know I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, and so I apologize. From my Instagram says, do you have any messages on how to increase my positive vibrations? I am always very negative and I have severe insomnia and anxiety. So that's a really interesting question, because all of what you just said could be like your sort of subconscious trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing next.
Yeah.
So,
So there's different parts of
what I
you,
just
like,
said?
yeah. What I'm feeling and what comes up for me with this type of question is two things. The first thing is to feel it and be with it.
Yeah.
Because the more that we try to bulldoze it or pretend it's not there or think that it's something bad or scary, which it can sometimes be bad or scary. It can. Yeah. But the more that we like make it catastrophe, we make it huge, the worse it is.
Yeah.
So lovingly showing up and being like, and being honest about it. I'm feeling a lot of anxiety. This is what's coming up. I am being pessimistic right now. Like being like aware of it. The fact that you're aware of it is huge. Mm-hmm. There are tons. I'm talking. You are like the 1%. Yeah. Because 99% of people out there are not able to, or not looking at it, or they're just like they can't. And so asking that question is very brave, first of all, and just being with it's really important. Second is that's the key to your intuition. Because your intuition, what happens is when you're digging deeper and deeper into your soul and who you are and what you want, everything that is not you, the discomfort, the anxiety is going to come up to the surface so that you can look at it, be with it, love it, and then slowly, lovingly move it to the side. I see you. I'm holding space for you, and I'm going to keep going. And then the next layer will come. And then as you're getting more intuitive and touched in, it will come up, more will come. That's why layers of healing happen. As it keeps coming up, keep lovingly looking at it, acknowledging it, sifting it to the side, because that is the key to your intuitive knowledge. Everything I do about intuition, my classes and workshops are all about that, because people are always like, oh, I have anxiety and stress, and that actually blocks me from my intuition. I'm like, no, that is your intuition. That's coming up to be looked at, to be felt, right, so that it can be released, so that you can go deeper into the intuition. So it's all part of it. So anyways, that's I love that stuff. So that's why I just like, blah.
Yeah. Well, we kind of cut out a little bit in the middle, but I heard the important parts, right? I hope everybody else heard the important parts too. But one thing I want to add to that is, and this is one of the things I talk about in my book. It's called Manifestation Journal for Beginners, by the way, anybody who has never heard of it before. But anyway, one of the things, okay, so what I tell people to do, and this is for you, Erin, okay? Figuring out why you're negative, like exactly what Erin was talking about, like understanding that you've got like these negative thoughts coming in and all that stuff. But the second thing is to sit in that for just a minute. Understand that you are like take 2 or 3 days, pick it and go, oh my God, that was a really negative comment that I just said to myself in my head or whatever, right? And then number 3, the third part is to kind of start to shift it. So catch yourself in that minute of, and I always use the analogy of, I always love to use the analogy of road rage on my part, right? Not other people's, right? But like somebody will cut me off and I'll be like, oh, no. And I'll catch myself and I'll be like, oh, wait, maybe. And this is me shifting it. I'll recognize what I'm doing and then I'll shift it and I'll be like, oh, wait, you know what? Maybe they're running to the hospital because somebody's dying or somebody's giving birth or whatever, right? Maybe there's a really good reason, and that shifts my energy. It shifts my whole vibration. And then I feel that feeling of compassion. It takes away the icky and it puts the compassion in there in its place. So I just always wanted to say that. And then she goes on to say, she says, I always feel that people underestimate me, which is what makes me feel negative, but this makes so much sense. Well, that's your low self-esteem and much to be worked on there, So, but you know what? Keep working on it. You're starting out and you're doing that, you're asking the right questions, allow yourself to go inside, go in your heart. So,
yeah. And what you said was, or what she said was was true. It's like, if you feel misunderstood or not heard, you start to go into like tantrum mode, because that's how we learn when we were kids. This is what you get, or this is how I get attention. And then this goes back to childhood, where it's like, what was I shown was the way you get attention. So for example, in my family, my dad was like the loud screaming alcoholic. He wasn't like, I mean, he was mean sometimes, but not directly to us, like physically abusive or anything. But for me, I was the hider and the freezer. I would just like freeze. And my sister was the fighter. So she became a little my dad, which is basically like the way that we get attention in this family is to scream and yell and cry. And so she would scream and yell and cry. So it was, but it was actually brilliant design because she learned this is how I get seen. And so think about maybe all the patterns, the ways that you have been taught or conditioned to get seen. And then like Lauri says, lovingly, like support yourself in shifting when you're ready. You know, I used to go to leadership courses where they were like, shift, like you're showing up as a victim, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no, but I also have to like be in it for a bit. Like, let me be the victim for a second and feel it. And then I'll shift when I'm ready. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, we are on this earth to have the human experience, right? Yeah. So that includes, being in a bad mood sometimes. That includes sitting in your space. You know what I mean? Of whatever that looks like. The trick is to not sit in it forever. That's the trick, to start to know when you're ready to really start pulling yourself back up, right? Wow. Yeah. It's interesting how this whole discussion kind of took a shift. I love it.
That's why it's just like, I love just kind of channeling and let things being what they
for sure. For sure. Okay. So June says, since I've been watching, listening to you, Lauri, and your guests, I have such a peaceful feeling inside. I've calmed my anxiety and don't get as upset much. That's awesome, wow. June. I love that. But that's because, I'm sorry, and I'm just going to say it. I don't know if you guys want to think this is arrogance, I'm sorry, but because all of my guests, me and all of my guests, we hold this space in the highest vibration possible.
And the highest regard and integrity, because it's so important. It's so profound.
Yeah.
And so important. Yeah. So, and by holding this space in this container of everyone that's here right now is supposed to be here for all these. That's why and I know this happens to you, Lauri, probably when you do like your live events, when I do live events and there's a bunch of people getting readings from me, I always am shown, you know, everyone that's there is supposed to be there collectively at the same time for all these reasons and to get healing. And also, even if they don't get direct messages, they're still getting messages and healing just by being there.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Ooh, I love this. Ooh, I am feeling my little heart, and it's so interesting because I wore green, you know, and I wasn't doing it to go with the heart chakra, but my heart just feels so big and open.
Isn't that funny that you'll realize later that like, oh, actually we keep talking about that we realize later. That's a big thing with life purpose, is that being present with where you are now is really important, because it can be easy because we're such goal getters to be like going and like going to the next thing. But when we do that, we miss out on all this beautiful stuff that's happening now. And a lot of times that's why people are either get older and they're like, oh my God, I missed out on so much, because we just don't sit in the presence of ourselves and who we are. And this is something I talked to, and I think it relates to this, is I was talking to a friend about this, how years seem to go by faster as you get older.
Yeah.
It's because as we get older, we're less present.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, you don't have bills or taxes to think about. So you're just like in the moment. Every moment is expanded tenfold. So it's like, you know, you're 10 years old, but it's just, isn't that how it feels?
For me, I feel like I'm way more present. Like if I could have a big do-over, and I'm not going to get emotional, I promise, but if I could have a do-over, it would be to be more present with my daughter when she was young. Yeah. So I feel like right now, because I don't have all of that stress of like the stuff for my daughter. Do you know what I mean? Like she's on her own. She's an adult. She's doing her own thing. Right. So I don't, I have it still, because you're always a mom. Once you're a mom, you're always a mom. Right? Yeah. You know, but it's so interesting because it's kind of like, it just like, back then I wish I would have been able to be more present. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like I'm more present now. So but everybody's different. Everybody.
Yeah, and I do in some ways, like I feel more present, meaning like emotionally regulated in my body.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid and not thinking about having to like work and make money and like the trappings kind of conditioned society, I was like, it just felt You know what I mean? It didn't go by as fast year after year after year,
Yeah.
or maybe because my brain was less like,
Yeah.
what is it? When you're a kid and you don't have the like brain function you do as you're an adult. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it could be that too. Yeah.
Right. Because it's, again, it's the life experience. It's the human experience, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's read what Beck says. Oh my gosh, this is really interesting. How do chronic givers, helpers who may believe their purpose is to help others and give their life to others shift to the perspective that a purpose serves the self? Wow. Yes, it totally makes sense. I love that. I'm going to put the comment away.
This
Oh
is
my
interesting because this is like a whole, we could do 2 hours of talking just on this question.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's so rich. So
Yeah.
thank you, Bex, for bringing it to the space because it's such a rich topic.
Yeah.
What I feel about that, and that's interesting because when I was in leadership programs, like I was talking about, the kind of leader of the whole thing, every time she went around the circle, we were doing like our graduation circle, and every single person was like, I'm going to take what I've learned, take it out into the world, do this. I'm going to like love everyone and do it. And everything they said, she reflected back to them by saying, you heal you. She would say everything they said. She said, this is for you, for you, for you. And so this is important because I think especially givers, people pleasers, healers, we come here like, it's good to want to help others and the world, but we can only do so much. How we help others is it's like connected to how full we are in our own souls and how not healed we are, because we're always in like some state of healing. But if we go out and try to like do all this helping of others and we're not in a space of feeling stable, because what is it? Maslow's like, where's I think it's Maslow's triangle. I forget what it is, but basically it's like making sure you have the most like essential things, like a roof over your head, stuff like that first, before you try to go out. Cause there are tons of people, as we know, and most of them women, like nurses and caregivers and all this stuff, that are at the end of their rope and have no self, you know what I mean? Support, self-esteem, etc., because they're doing everything for other people.
Yeah. Well, see, but here's the thing. I think that it can go, I don't want to say too far, but like as I was saying before about like my sort of aha moments throughout my life, I didn't realize it. I just thought that I was doing the right thing, like helping out my grandparents, and then going into like, it was selfish that I was on the road because I was singing. I was doing what I loved singing more than anything in the world, right? All I wanted to do ever was perform, right? So we go into these veterans hospitals, and we meet all of these veterans, and I started to appreciate what they did. I mean, think about what they have done, especially like this is back in the 80s, right? So think about like, there were World War II guys still there. There were Vietnam guys there who came home to people like just spitting on them. I mean, it was bad, right? So I understood that. And I had that was my purpose, but I got a little bit of something out of it, So I knew that I was, and again, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but I knew I was good at performing and good at singing, and I knew I could do that. But then I added that other component in. And once you bring in and you put that all together, it became like, oh, So basically what I'm saying is, for you, Bex, you could take a couple of different things that you love to do and create your own little niche.
Yeah. And create what I had, and Bex watched this too. I had a live video in my group earlier with a woman that was like at the end of her rope. She was working at Walmart, and then she ended up getting fired, and she was like working nights when she was there in order to like support her special needs son during the day. It was just like so much. And she was and then at some point a series of events happened, but what she realized was what she really loved to do, and she's like an interior designer. She loves to craft. She loves crafts. She's like, I just want to work with other women and moms that like don't have a lot of time for themselves and do crafts. And now all of a sudden she's doing like these craft nights at this like taco and tequila bar on Tuesdays. And she just opened it up, and like 14 people signed up. There's people on waiting lists, and it's just her just going, I'm going to do. So like doing something that you love to do and monetizing it, or doing and you don't always have to monetize it, but doing what you love to do is going to help you heal, and other people are going to get from it. You know what I mean? They're going to, and that's why it's interesting you're bringing up the veterans thing, because my dad was a Vietnam vet. My grandfather was a World War II vet.
Oh my
and
God.
I worked with veterans. I worked for about 4 years maybe on a program called Make the Connection. It's a YouTube show, but it's all about veterans making the connection. It was for the VA.
Oh,
but
I love that.
I edited hundreds and hundreds of videos from veterans of all different wars and everything, talking about their experience and how they came back and PTSD and all that. And so that was another part that connected with my healing and the film and all of the stuff that we do. That's our life purpose. And so it's all meant. And one thing that just came through to me is like, and this has nothing to do with that question, but if it's meant for you, you won't miss it. It won't miss you. Like if it's meant for you, you will, at some point in time, it will come to you.
Yeah. And know that, believe that. That's part of the whole thing. You have to believe that, Yeah. So Vanessa says, would love to know a little on what would be my purpose in this lifetime. I've gone through some painful moments in life and questioned, boy, I can't read today, and questioned if this is my purpose to get to heal the generational trauma. Ooh, Vanessa, that's pretty amazing. That's another big question, right? I would really like to say that, and this may not be like the popular answer, but as you're healing and you are finding your happiness in life, like what makes you happy? Like literally, what makes you happy? Does taking a bath make you happy? Does, walking on the beach make you happy?
Knitting.
Exactly.
Just like hobbies, things that you love to do.
Yeah.
This reminds me what you're saying, Lauri, of I was watching this like question answer coaching thing, and somebody was up, talking to the person on stage about how like, I just feel like I'm always upset. I'm never happy. And I'm always trying to make myself happy. And the coach person was like, stop trying to make yourself happy.
Yeah.
Exactly. The more you try to make yourself happy or make yourself fulfilled or go, I'm got to find my purpose, it's hard because so she goes, just do what you want to do every morning when you wake up. Don't do what you think will make you happy or what you think will make other happy. Like, what do you want to do? And the girl was like, I want to paint. And so she was like, so wake up and paint. Like, just do what feels good and what you like doing. And then everything comes from there. Everything starts from there. You will not be given or have a purpose without the means to make that purpose possible. You just, you have both.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's get into, before we start taking like reading type questions, let's talk about what you can do, because I keep seeing questions from people saying, well, what should I do? How can I find it? How can I do it? What practices can really help you find that out? Well, guess what? Meditation, journaling, therapy. I mean, I know that, that might sound like a weird thing to say, but honestly, therapists can really help with that if you find a good one. Life coaching. I think both. I don't know if you do life coaching. I do spiritual life coaching.
Yeah, I do life and business coaching. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are like some tools, but nobody likes hearing that meditation is the way to find it, blah, blah, blah.
I know everyone. Well, people don't know what meditation is. They think it's clearing all your thoughts. I'm like, your brain is a CPU. You can't clear your thought. That is literally physically impossible. You cannot do that.
If you do, it's awesome. I've done it a few times. I've done it.
Like fully clear, just
sitting fully cleared and just been like out there. And
I have felt that too, but for me, what I feel it is almost like I'm in a trance. I'm in a trance in like up here or something, which I think they call that, they have a term for it in meditation. I think it's called the watcher or something, but you like release from you just think, instead of me, let's say I have a song in my head, instead of me being in my human self, I'm Erin, the song in my head. I picture like my highest self above me. I am her watching me have a song in my head going, you're hilarious with that song in your head. And then you slowly but surely go like higher and higher and higher into different experiences. Yeah. So instead of being that, you're seeing it. And sometimes you can like release, like, let's say the song from your head or whatever. Sometimes you can't, but
well, that's why I use, and I tell people to use mantras. Because if you just say like, to get me started, I will always start out and just go, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And if I'm meditating, because I can meditate for really long periods of time. Not everybody can, but I can meditate for 2 hours if I
Me
have
too.
time,
Actually, I do half an hour every day. And at the end, I'm like, I could do this all day. Like, I don't want to leave this space. I don't want
Yeah,
to go.
exactly, because it feels good. But the thing is, if you start out saying like a mantra, whatever it is, whether it could be a Sanskrit mantra, it could be just thank you, it could be anything,
It could even be just, I am, I am, I am, I am,
yeah,
I am.
exactly. Oh, that's a great one. Oh yeah, there's tons,
I love that, Lauri. And mantras, that's so helpful. Anyone watching this that wants to like get into any kind of like, because meditation, what it's going to do is it's going to help you as you're doing it over and over again. Things will start to come to you because your guides will know this person is taking time to step aside, connect to us. And because they are dedicatedly taking their time and doing that, we're going to start giving them little breadcrumbs. So you'll start getting more and more, and you'll start understanding more and more why things are happening. It may be muddled at first. It may not make sense at first, but it will over time. And that's a thing I want to bring up about life purpose. And what we're talking about is consistency.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to tell you, like 90% of people that pay me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to do coaching with me do not take the practices and do them. And I'm not saying it's going to wasting your money, but sometimes, I mean, if you're not doing these practices consistently and really showing up for yourself, writing things down, I'm not saying you have to always be like crunching everything, but dedicating and consistent. And sometimes you'll fall off the wagon and then you'll be like, okay, because we are human. We need to live our human lives, and you can do both. You can live your human life and do this at work also. Absolutely. But staying consistent and consistently showing up and doing it. Because I have a lot of people like in victim mode, like, oh, I can't do. I'm like, are you opening the Akashic records? Because I do Akashic records training. Like, are you meditating? Are you taking? And they're like, oh, I'm like, well, nothing's going to happen if you're not like, or it may, but you might not be able to see it or understand that's what's happening.
Yeah. And here's the bottom line. It doesn't have to be a big dramatic thing. You can just do 10 minutes, start out with 10 minutes. If you have thoughts, oh, well,
that's why we say
David,
for
he
like
talks so much about one of three things is going to happen. You're going to fall asleep. You're going to have a ton of thoughts, or you're going to experience the most amazing thing ever. Right. And you strive for that, but you just got to let it go. You can't just be, and I have so many people that I work with that are like, I just can't do it. I can't do it. And I said, well, you're never going to be able to do it unless you try.
Yeah. Have you tried it? I know people just say that because they know. I think that what that really is a subconscious thing, because they know that when they stop everything for a second, everything they've been running away from is going to come in. And that's going to be part of it. That's going to be part of it, because we are runners awares. We are numbers. We numb things.
I love it. Runners awares. That's something I would say.
Things. We run from pain. We run from looking at ourselves. And sometimes we're going to have to feel that. And if the thoughts are coming, do the mantra or let the thoughts come. The main thing is to see the thoughts as things moving in front of you, not something that you attach to as you. The second you say, I am this, or I am, then it becomes a cluster F. But just stepping back and being like, wow, oh my God, that thought, I'm really like not having compassion for myself there. Okay. And like being as neutral as possible about all the thoughts coming through. That way you create a space. And if you do it consistently, it will be, I'm telling you, it will change your life forever in all the best ways and be so healing.
So I love this. Bernadette says, I meditate before bed and fall asleep. I'm not the same person. And then later on, Bernadette says, my form of meditation is being away from people. I love that. And then Melanie says, I recently added I ams to my spiritual practice. So that's awesome.
That's hilarious.
Absolutely awesome. Right now, the other thing is journaling that can really help you find your way in the process of finding your purpose. Writing down. And here's the thing. So I had a friend that had books and books and books of journals. And I'm like, no, I can't. I have a problem with that, So, but then guess what I found? Online. Well, first of all, on your phone, there's a journal thing. So you can have it and it's locked. Nobody ever has to see it, right? Love that, right? Yeah. So that opened me up to a whole new way of doing things. Like, I will write out stuff in a journal if it's just the, I'm creating an intention or I'm doing this or that, but like writing out my actual thoughts and like feelings and stuff, I'm worried about other people reading it for whatever reason.
I mean, I do that too. And it's like we all have different clairvoyant, we see, we hear, we feel. So do it the way that works for you. Like you said, like I like to do dictation, or I will do when I was doing a money training where it was like talk to money or have a conversation. I didn't want to write a letter. I wanted to speak it out loud for me. Because when I do readings and everything, my guides and the person's guides I'm reading for will come through my vocal cords, and they're like doing healing codes for the person through my vocal cords. And I'm able to, so when I say it out loud, it's different, and it gets in me at a different level than if I was just writing. But there are benefits to actually like writing with your hand, because I stopped journal writing a long time ago, and I'm like, I need to just sit down and actually write something at some point.
I'll be honest, the way I do it is, and Bernadette says, I can't journal. It's like asking a dog to be a cat. I totally get that, because what I do on my phone is I'll like not type it in. I will like dictate it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's kind of how I do it. But everybody has their own sort of, and I'm going to say it this way, like learning modality that works for them. So for some people it's reading, some people it's writing, some people it's visual. For me, it's visual, like, and speaking things, you know.
For me, it's speaking. It's 100% speaking.
Yeah. So that's why I do podcasts, because I love just talking about things, because to me, that's where the energy builds and blah, 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 So, but here's my point in all of this stuff is that all of these things can really help you find your purpose, and if you set, and I'm sure you agree with, I hope you agree with me, Erin, that like, if you set an intention, I am going to work on finding my purpose. And if you set that intention and then you start to do these things, or God forbid you join a group or something where people talk about finding their purpose, you start talking about it and sharing with people, that is what's going to get the ball rolling.
Get out of the shadows. I don't know who needs to hear this. Get out of the shadows. Get out of your own way. Get out of isolation. Start talking to other people. And you don't even have to like talk to other people. Like I said, I started doing this training a while ago where I was watching videos from this woman, and I started just something about her energy started like clicking things for me. I didn't have to go and like tell a million people what I was doing. I just felt, so it was a training about being like a 6-figure woman. It was like becoming a 6-figure woman. And it wasn't something I hadn't heard before. Like her trainings are something I haven't heard before, but the way she said it and the way I needed to hear it right then, and also aligning. And so a part of what you're saying is a part of what you said that made me think of aligning everything to that. So if you start saying out loud, I want to start doing stuff around purpose, do everything in that way. Like for example, in the 6-figure woman thing, it was like, dress like you're a 6-figure woman. That doesn't mean like to dress up every day or anything, but just feel and be and go do things and eat foods and drink certain things that make you feel like this being, like this person that you want to be, or, in that case, or like the purpose work, everything you do, have it link back to that. Yeah. Because, there's that basically the way that you're acting and being, your brain believes that's who you are. So if you just keep acting and believing a certain way, your brain just goes, oh, that's who you are. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I also like to do, I mean, in a sense, this is all about everything I'm sitting here thinking are things that I talk about whenever I talk about manifestation, in the workshops, in the book, and all of the stuff, right? But the thing is, that is what is going to like shift your brain and help you figure out your purpose, your life's purpose. Why do I want to be here? What am I here to do?
I have a kind of controversial thing, not controversial, but like, it just makes me think, when you're like, so I just thought of doing life purpose support for people. And then a lot of times I will have people that come to me and say, what's my life purpose? And I am such a helper and a giver. I'll be like, okay, let me look into your Akashic records. Do you think that like, let's say like the smartest, most intuitively tapped in person, even if they see the life, do you think that only the person who is the person can know what their life purpose is and no one can actually tell it, even if we see all the things? Does that make sense?
Well, here's the thing. I don't believe that. I mean, I think we can tell people as intuitives, we can say, I think you should move down this road and start to, like you were talking before about how your purpose right now is to learn to forgive yourself. I'm pretty sure that's what you said,
Yeah,
right?
it was, yeah.
So you can do that. But I think in terms of finding their own purpose, to me, it's kind of like the meeting your spirit guide. You know, a lot of people, I get asked all the time, who is my spirit guide? I want to meet him. What's his name? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I can't answer that. I'm not going to answer that because it's about you creating your relationship with your spirit guides. So I'm sure I've let so many people down because I won't tell them their name or whatever, you know, but it's the same kind of thing. It's like, we can give you nudges. We can say, you know what, maybe right now, the idea of learning to forgive yourself is a great thing for you to do.
Yeah, to start.
That isn't going to be your life's purpose, your soul's
Correct.
purpose.
Yes.
You know, it's going to help you get out of that low vibrational blah, 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 you know?
Yeah, because I've had a million things where I see, because when I look at someone, I see the potential of them. I see where they are in 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So if I'm telling them that now, they're going to be like, great, but you know what I mean? So it is hard because the human self comes to us saying, I want to know this. But then I'm like, if I really told you everything I'm seeing and seeing for your future, you're not going to be able to understand it or fully process it or do the things yet. I can tell you the little bits right now that you.
And
you
here's
know.
the thing, though, when you're and you're a good psychic, right? I get that, and I know that for a fact, right? But you get some of these people, you know, that come in and say, okay, so 30 years down the line, you're going to be divorced, blah, blah, blah. You're going to be this and that and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, that's not what, first of all, who knows if it's true? Second of all, you can't, I am a firm believer in this. This is why I really am not a huge fan of doing a lot for me, of doing a lot of the intuitive stuff, because if I tell you, and I love this example, if I tell you that you're going to stub your toe tomorrow, you're going to live into that. One of a couple things is going to happen.
I was just going to say that next.
You're going to live into that.
Yep.
And you're going to either stub your toe, or you're going to stub your toe, or what's going to happen is you're going to be like, this is when the free will kicks in. And you're going to say, well, I don't want to stub my toe. It's going to hurt. So you wear shoes all day long, bar none. And, you know, so number one, you're either wrong, like as the psychic, you're either wrong, or you're having them live into this painful thing of stubbing their toe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I had a session with someone once before I was still ethical, but I didn't understand that concept. And you never, I mean, some people do, but I don't like to do things about like, am I going to get pregnant or am I going to have kids or whatever? Cause it's like, you don't want to speak things into existence or whatever. And I saw her not having a kid. I just saw that. And I didn't think that she would like react so strongly. She started crying and everything. I was like, oh, I realized later, because I was like, I shouldn't have said that, because again, you mess with people's like process. The way she asked me was very nonplussed, like, so I just thought, oh, okay, she's just asking, and realized later, don't ever do that again. But what was interesting, Lauri, is that years later, she popped up. I'm talking about, I never saw her on my Facebook again. And then all of a sudden she popped up one day in my stories out of nowhere, and she had a baby.
Oh.
And my first thought was I wrong? Because I didn't see her having a child.
Yeah.
And then Spirit showed me, you told her she wasn't going to have a child, which made her steel against that and say, yes, I'm going to.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Ooh, doesn't Spirit work in crazy cool ways? And for you and for her. Oh my God, how much I love that.
And so I was like, for years I was like, why did that happen?
Yeah.
Was I wrong? Also, like, and then this is where we're saying, me and Lauri are saying, for anyone watching, that things will come late, or sometimes it takes a long time. But wow, when I had that moment of, it was,
Yeah. Well, and if you are, as you are, a good psychic and you listen to your guides, that's when you know, like, okay, you know what? I was supposed to say that. You know what I mean? Oh, here we are getting into this discussion. This is so funny.
It's like, I realized I was supposed to say it, but God, Spirit, why? Because then that person ends up like not getting mad at me, blocking me, crying. I make them upset. And then years later, I've had people years later come to me and say, Erin, everything you told me happened. I'm so sorry I yelled and screamed at you, blah, blah, blah. But it's hard. I'm a people pleaser and I want to serve. So when that happens, I'm like, oh no, because then I just feel like I'm a big douchebag.
Yeah. Oh no, you're not at all.
I know, but it's just hard when that happens because you're like,
well, yeah. But you know what though? If you know you're doing the work of spirit and you're doing it with a pure heart, that's true. The most important thing, you know.
That's so true.
I have to say a hello. So Soulful Wanderer says, my 7-year-old daughter is listening here. She says hello. Her name is Raylyn. So hi, Raylyn.
Hi, Raylyn. I'm glad you're here.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's do a couple readings. Yeah. All that being said,
I know just that few things, you know.
June says, do you happen to have a spirit message for me? I just need a hi from them. Oh my God, I love that. So do you have a question about something, June?
Okay, so this is like June. Can you read that again? So her name's June.
Her name is June, and she says, oh, wait. June says, do you happen to have a spirit message for me? I just need a hi from them.
Okay, got it. I kind of like these because then I just see what comes through and I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing I see is the Magician Tarot card. So the Magician is a reminder, and it can mean different things traditionally. You can look it up online. But for me, what I'm seeing for you is it's a reminder of how, what an alchemist you are, meaning that a creator of magic. Because I see you like almost like Harry Potter with like a wand. You are a creator of magic, taking what your guides specifically are showing me is like taking normal mundane things that everyone else might look at and just be like, oh, that's a plant, or oh, that's some dirt on the ground or a rock. And you have a way of turning it into and alchemizing it into like what the magical, this is interesting, like the magic that it holds that people don't see, you're able to kind of touch it and spark that. So I'm seeing that you're an activator of sorts that activates this kind of soul spark that's within, and it can even be objects. So I don't know if you're really good either with like, and I'm also seeing something about like hands, like your hands are very strong. So this could be that you could do hands healing on yourself, on your kids, on your pets. Everyone can do that, by the way. You don't have to be a Reiki master or something. You can put your hands, if you're having a headache, just lightly, and you know, with the intention of like releasing any heavy energies, and you can do that. But I'm just seeing very strongly, like whether you're planting or cooking or making something, I just see your hands as being very like high vibe. And so I don't know if you do something work-wise with your hands, but just know and remember your power. And how it may seem like it's not powerful because you're working with maybe with like a mundane subject, but it is very powerful. And so that's just kind of like what they want you to know is that the things that you may think are just regular, everyday run of the mill things, because you're doing them, are not run of the mill.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I got to tell you what's interesting is that as you were doing the first part of that reading, I pulled this card. And this says truth, right? And you mentioned about like magic and all this stuff. And this card always reminds me of Stevie Nicks.
Yes.
Right. You know? And how magical her music is and how magical she is. And it's interesting because it talks about, so June, what I'm getting for you from this card is that I just really feel like that I want to tell you, you need to be more truthful with yourself. Like I'm not getting necessarily that, that maybe you feel like that you're being, you know, that you need to be truthful to other people. I feel like that I want to talk to you about being truthful with yourself in order to find your purpose. If that's what, you know, if that's what it is that you want to do. But my point of this is that, first of all, and I want to say, I know I don't know you, but I feel like that you are intuitive, and I want you to start to, if you can, start to meditate and embrace that a little bit. And that's where the truth starts coming up for you. So just going to give you that. So,
yeah.
ooh,
And
much
that makes sense because it is that like that kind of Stevie Nicks energy is that, you know, whatever I touch and the magician has that sort of energy of not sort of that magician has that energy of being an intuitive alchemizer, like an intuitive being. So
yeah,
the magician.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Going along with that.
Okay, so the next question, oh my God, this is a deep question. Okay. Bernadette says, my question is, why don't I want to be, I'm sure she means be on earth anymore. It's a constant battle. I know I've exited early on many lifetimes. I want to complete my mission, whatever it is. That is so deep and so big.
And so beautiful. Let's just say how freaking beautiful that is because it is
your
deep.
past lives. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And go ahead. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I want to say, this isn't really as an intuitive, but just a person that is a trauma specialist and supports people through stuff like this. A problem a lot of times is that this culture is really averse to talking about these feelings, about whether it's like, I don't want to be here or suicidal ideation or anything like that. And so because of that, we feel like it makes it worse almost because we don't feel heard and seen. And I'm not saying to like normalize like awful pain, but we do kind of have to normalize talking about these things because it's not, especially in spiritual communities. A lot of spiritual communities are like this love and light. And this is kind of funny, morbid, but me and my friends used to kind of sign off messages by saying hate and darkness. Because instead of like love and light, because there's both, there's everything,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so like, you know, that's more talking about like acknowledging and accepting and like for everyone listening that it's not outside of the norm or anything like that. It's just that we kind of get conditioned and programmed to like, don't talk about that or be happy or how can you be fixed or healed when you're like already healed and whole. But yeah, Lauri, go ahead.
You know, I really just have to say, Bernadette, first of all, your energy is just absolutely magical.
Yeah, I feel that too.
And I don't mean to like shift us back into what the subject was, but pardon me. I feel like that your purpose is to help people to talk that through. You know, Bernadette, I feel like that you have a lot of stuff, that a lot of just a lot of compassion in your heart for so many people. And I feel like that you're really like, and again, I don't know you, but I really feel like that you are one of those people that everybody seems to come to. And you can tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm totally incorrect, you just let me know. But I feel like that you're one of those people that people come to for answers, you know, or for
support,
you know, and support and that sort of thing. And I think that the stuff that you've been through in your life helps you to be supportive in terms of that.
What did they say? Make your mess your message.
What's that?
Make your mess your message.
Yeah.
Not saying that you're a mess or anything like that, but if like, you're right, Lauri, like maybe that's part of like using all of that kind of stuff that comes up. Like, I'm so tired or for good. Like, how do I use this to help others, help myself? Because when you're helping others through it, you're helping you. And I know, Lauri, that you probably feel the same way when you're doing like a reading or supporting somebody. When I do healing sessions, by the time I'm done, I'm like, oh my God, I got more. I feel like I got almost more out of that than the person. Cause I'm able to get like clear. I'm doing healing on the person and it helps me. And so when you're doing that, it will help you and help you release things to support other people in that as well. And it is a very real thing if you exited early in a lot of other lifetimes to have that karma. So doing like karma clearings and having other people support you and say, hey, like I personally have a person. Now this is coming through specifically for you, someone that you might want to do this with or something like it. I have a Reiki master that is a friend of mine that we exchange a healing session once per week, because what I'm feeling for you is that you need some kind of support, like either once per week or something where you can do an exchange or you can just, get support. just one thing where you have someone clearing out all of that like karmic gunk or that stuff. Because I'm feeling like for you, it accumulates a lot in the back of your body. So whether it's an in-person Reiki or whatever, to be able to like pull. I'm also seeing that like a girl that I did a reading for, she said something about her husband, like is always like, oh, that energy stuff, that's all hoo-ha, whatever. But whenever he's upset or she's upset or their kid's upset, she can see him going like this. He goes like this and goes like that. Like I'm taking like negative energy out and moving it. Or he like will rub someone's back and go like that and like push the energy away. So I'm seeing that for you, like having somebody to help you kind of lovingly release and move, or maybe do an energy exchange with you. That's kind of a separate thing, but that came through too.
Ooh, that's fantastic. Ooh, that was great. Oh, I love that. I got chills on that one. Thank you, Erin.
Yeah, because you deserve to have support. You deserve to have other people supporting you, not just you doing everything for you.
Yes.
You deserve, like there's a thing I'm feeling about deserving. And so you deserve to have other people support you. It's not just, you don't have to do everything yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's all the time we have, you guys. Oh my gosh. Again, and I know I say this probably every week, but especially with you, Erin, this hour goes so fast.
So fast. But I'm so glad. Thank you for honoring the hour, because I've been on shows or I've done things before where it just keep going and going. And
I know
whether it's not even just for us, it's everyone watching, even because some people can watch forever and talk, but it really is important to like, you know, this kind of spirit work can be heavy and it's a lot. And so even though it feels like a fun little conversation, it also is, we're talking about really deep stuff. So this is something I tell people when I do healing sessions and stuff with them, like go step out on the ground with your bare feet, suck in some earth, go take a bath, drink some hot tea, do something that grounds your energy, because it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, especially right now. That's so great and that's a great way to kind of bring everything full circle and close out the night. Ground yourself, my friends, because this 2-week period in between the eclipses is like big, fast moving energy. I mean, the weirdest things have been happening to me, you know, like pushing me forward and pushing me forward. So understand that and believe that and keep yourself grounded. So,
and
Erin, is there any?
Frantic, it's because of that eclipse energy, because I felt that too. It's just like everything all at once.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. So do you have any upcoming events or like maybe we could just put up tell us what oh my god, I can't talk right.
Oh no, it's totally fine. Well, I mean my bio link, I put it in the private chat, so I don't know if you can either put it somewhere or whatever, or I don't know how to put it where everyone can see it, but basically it's yes, there it is. So that's my bio. That's basically kind of like a link tree where you can find everything that I am doing. I have a lot of workshops and masterclasses, free, some are pay. The next one I'm doing is about purpose. It is about being like, okay, I know I have gifts. Now what? Like how to kind of step out of the shadows and stop hiding and activate these things. So I'm going to be doing a workshop at some point on that. But I do individual readings. I also do events and groups and parties. I live in Washington State, so I do usually the Pacific Northwest, but I'll go anywhere if, you know, and I do retreats and stuff like that. So yeah, readings, coaching, and workshops and stuff will be listed on that link, that bio. And Erin Inspirational everywhere. So Erin Inspirational on Facebook, Erin Inspirational on Instagram, Erin Inspirational all over the place.
There you go. That's the beautiful part of having it all be the same. And
having it be a part of my name, a part of it, because then like your name is in your branding, so it's easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for being here, Erin. I appreciate you so much. Oh my god. And yes, we're gonna do this again next month for sure.
Yeah, we always do. It just happens.
We'll find maybe at some point we'll just do readings together. That'd be fun. Like we'll spend the whole hour doing readings. We could do that. Or
I would love that, because then conversations happen within that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially with us.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you,
everyone.
All of you. And again, thank you for being here. And I look forward to talking to you soon. And until next time, everybody, namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Lauri. Appreciate you.